welcome everybody to Curious Conversations, our third Curious Conversations for 2024. Really fantastic to have you all here. Thanks for taking the time this afternoon. I know we're going to learn a lot today about scams and how to avoid being scammed. So it's my pleasure to introduce Matt Hull to everybody today. Matt's been with ASB for around about 11 years. And he's been in his current role as community banker for just over 2 years. In his role as community banker, he is effectively a conduit or a connector for vulnerable communities and populations to help them access banking services. Matt works on the road between Whanganui, Palmerston North and Wellington. So wherever I ring him, he's usually in one of those three places or in between. And he delivers all sorts of presentations around frauds and scams, budgeting, saving, also debt and home buying as well. And this is a quote directly from Matt, which I thought was really cool, actually. This is the best role I've ever had in my career. So that's fantastic to know that you really enjoy this role. He's married and he has 3 adult children and he lives in Upper Hutt, and he says don't hold that against him. Matt, welcome. It's great to have you. We've got a bit of a crowd on today. We're all looking forward to hearing a bit more about scams and how we can avoid them and some of the latest things that are happening. So it's over to you.
Fantastic. Right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. So I'll take you through today a little bit of information around frauds and scams. So we'll have a look at staying safe online. There's a piece that I'll talk to you about around financial abuse. We've got card fraud, password and PIN security, and there's time for questions and answers. In saying that, as Stephen said, if you do have a question, please, as soon as you think of it, if you want to type that in, then we can address that straight away. I'd hate you to do what I do, which is hold off, and then at the end, I can't remember what the question was. So please feel free to jump in and ask questions. Right. So we have got the first portion, which is staying safe online, which is around the SMS and email scams, or text and email scams. So collectively, these are known as phishing, which is very similar to phishing with an F, that they'll throw a line out there and they will try and catch you. So I've got some examples here to show you. So on the left-hand side, the first example, you can see that the phone number there is +6422, which is New Zealand, and it's 2 degrees. And it says, we've placed a hold on your card due to multiple failed payment attempts. If this was not you, please visit asb-co-nz.online. So there's a couple of clues here to look for. And it may be that you haven't had a banking text come through. It might have been from Waka Kotahi, could have been around your driver's license, a courier parcel, someone saying that they're from your telecommunication company. There's so many different texts coming out. So the ones that I've highlighted here are just on ASB text messages as examples. But you can utilize the clue spotting here on any of the text messages or emails that you receive. So on this one in particular, the phone number that's being used, if it's an organization who's sending you a text, more often than not, it will actually come from a 4-digit number as opposed to a personal cell phone number. Part of what the fraudsters do is when they are researching the country, they will find out what the area code is, and they can mask their phone number with in this case, a New Zealand phone number, to make you feel at ease, to make you believe that it is actually coming from a New Zealand number, when in fact it might not be. The other thing there, the other clue is that it's from ASB-co-nz. In New Zealand, ASB is asb.co.nz or kiwibank.co.nz, spark.co.nz. So there's 2 real easy clues. The other thing to keep probably at the forefront of everything is the fact that banks, government departments, and a lot of companies in New Zealand these days will not send you a text or an email asking you to click on something. They will send you texts or emails with information. So it could be that it's you have your account's overdrawn. You have a payment to make on your credit card by a certain date. Please pop in to see us at your local branch. Please pop onto the internet to have a look at your secure messages. So information texts are okay. More often than not, they are legitimate, and they guide you to go somewhere to find out information, as opposed to trying to get you to click on something. When they're asking you to click on something, they're trying to create a sense of urgency or a call to action. And so it's really important that you don't click. The bottom text there is from a +61 number, which is actually Australia. And it says your ASB account has been registered on a new device. If this was not you, please visit myasb-nz-home. So once again, the email address is incorrect. This time we've got a different phone number. It's from Australia. So straight away, we can tell that there is something that's up with this text. I guess a little bit of background on the fraudsters. So there's many different avenues that they can find information about people. Overseas, they may purchase 1,000 New Zealand phone numbers, 1,000 New Zealand email addresses, and they'll sit down and they will Google New Zealand. They'll find out everything that they can. So who are the banks, who are the courier companies, who are the water companies, anything and everything, who are the petrol companies. The reason that they do that is so they can then make their texts and emails more local when they send them out, so that you are less suspicious. If you received a text from ASB Bank, for example, it's a South African bank. So as soon as you got that, you would think that it's nothing to do with you. So to increase the chance of you clicking on one of the messages, they make it very local so that you feel more comfortable. Out of the 1,000 texts or emails that they send, they're only looking for around 5 or 10 responses. That's all they actually need to be able to get the funds that they require. They're hoping that at some stage you are tired when you receive the text, or you are focused somewhere else, or you're busy, that you're not putting your full attention into the text, or it might be that it hits at a time where something's just happened. You might have just gone through a toll road and you suddenly get a text and think, oh, goodness, that's amazing that they've sent that through. I better go and get that done now because I didn't pay. So it's not targeting anyone or anything in particular. It just so happens that sometimes it hits at an inopportune time where something in your life is happening. Your driver's license needs to be renewed, or as I said, the tolls, or your card might have been placed on hold. So it's all very hopeful that they send out, hoping that it sticks with at least a couple of people. On the top right, we've got an email that's been sent. It says that you've received a new secure message from ASB Fastnet Classic. Click here to view. So you can see at the top it says from ASB Bank, but when you click on from, it actually shows that it's from asb.supportcentre@tele2.it, which is Italy. We don't have any branches in Italy at this stage, but you can do this simple technique on your emails, whatever device you are using. If you click on the from, it will help you to establish who exactly the emails are from. And from there, you can make some decisions. As I said before, if you're not sure, then the next stage is that you need to check with somebody. So check with whānau, check with neighbours, check with church groups, sports groups, check with your bank. your bank is really wanting to find out about any frauds and scams that are happening. We don't know the volume of messages that are coming through until our customers come and tell us. So if you're unsure about any messages that you get, go and see them. Age Concern, fantastic to check with them as well. Citizens Advice Bureau. If at any stage you are querying something, you need to check before you click. If you do happen to click, in this case, these two ASB texts, if you clicked on those, it would take you through to a lookalike page to your internet banking, where you would be able to put in your username and password. They would then have that information, and they would be able to then go into your accounts and play with the money. And that's exactly what we don't want to have happen. Okay. Next, the next type of scam that we see is phone scams or remote access scams. So this is where someone will call you and they are saying that they are from an organisation or a company, that you may have an issue, but they are actually there to assist you. The way that you can tell straight away that it is a phone scam is the fact that they say, "Hello, sir, hello, madam. Good morning, good afternoon." They never actually use your name. It's because they don't know who they're dealing with until you answer the phone as to whether you're a male or female. They are trying to get you to load an application onto your device. The one that we most often see is one that is called Team Viewer, T-E-A-M, Viewer, V-I-E-W-E-R. It's a legitimate company, but in the hands of fraudsters, it can be extremely dangerous because it gives them remote access to your device. So under no circumstances let anyone tell you that you must put something onto your computer to allow them to assist you. If in doubt, once again, check with somebody. Investment scams. These are quite prevalent at the moment, and I've got a couple of examples here. The bottom right-hand side, you can see a young man there on the Auckland landscape at the back in the background. His name is Daniel Faitawa. He's from One Network News, and he's a trusted source of information. So they have taken his image without his permission and popped it onto this ad for Bitcoin. And the hope is here that if you like Daniel Faitawa and you believe him, that you will also invest in Bitcoin is what they're trying to get across here. He had no knowledge that his image had been used. This is happening more and more, especially with artificial intelligence, AI, and they're starting to get into the realms of video and voice recording as well. So you have to ask questions about things. You really do. On the left-hand side, this happened a couple of years ago when Jacinda was our Prime Minister, and it says, "Jacinda Ardern's latest investment has experts in awe and big banks terrified." The only issue with that statement is that banks deal with investments on a daily basis. So there's not too much about investments that does terrify us. Down the bottom, the big hook here is that Jacinda Ardern comes out with a new secret investment that is making hundreds of people in New Zealand very rich. So why only hundreds? Why not everyone? So there's a couple of clues in here. And to the unknowing person out there, they may not be aware that parliamentarians are not able to promote a product or service. It's illegal in their positions to be in that situation. So the fraudsters here are hoping that you've drawn on the fact that Jacinda was the Prime Minister, you'll trust her and you'll follow what she's doing and click on there. The top right-hand side, this is a pyramid scheme, and this is one that actually happened up in Auckland a couple of years ago in a suburb called Otahuhu, which is very high Māori and very high Pasifika. The people who live and work in those communities are all about their whānau or their ainga, about supporting. So it's not about building wealth for themselves, it's about supporting their wider families. So the premise here was that to get on the ladder as a gift giver, you needed to put in $300. You also needed to find someone else who would do the same. So there were multiple hits within the family units. It could be brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts, cousins, nieces, nephews, who were duped into putting in the money. And the idea is that you actually get to gift to receiver in the middle, which you never ever do. It's always the one person or a group of people who are in the middle who take everyone's money. These guys did get caught and they did go to jail, but the money unfortunately wasn't able to be retrieved. With the cost of living crisis that we're in at the moment and interest rates have gone up and up, you can remember back to COVID times where term deposits were paying around 1% for 6 months. We're now in a situation where it's between 4 and 6%. So people are going online and Googling for deposit interest rates. There's a whole lot of information that can be found, both true and fraudulent. If you are looking for the best rates, it's very important that you understand what your bank is offering at the moment, because that's around about where it's going to be. So as I said, 4 to 6%. So if you went online and you found someone who's offering 10%, it's more than likely that that is fraudulent. The two web pages that are on there are an example of what they've got up there, trying to show that everything is legitimate. So they provided their details online and then they were contacted and tricked into believing that they were dealing with a real bank or financial entity. There was several $1 million, or there has been several $1 million so far that has been taken from unsuspecting people across all the banks. In the bottom right-hand side there, you can see a fixed term deposit prospectus. So that's 14 pages that they sent out. That's how determined they were to make it look real. So you have to be aware. Best place to go if you are looking to invest into term deposits, interest.co.nz is a great website to go to, because they do comparatives between all of the banks with their term deposits. So you get an idea of where the market is at the moment. You can then use that information with your own bank and go back. So if you were with ASB and you found that BNZ has got a 0.5% more, go into ASB and tell them that this is what BNZ's doing. Can they match it or better it? If you and that way it's a secured deposit as well if it's with one of the banks. If you're looking at financial entities, they may offer slightly more, but not a huge difference, and it won't be secured as well as with the banks. So to avoid investment scams, so important to never invest in a cold call. So a cold call is where you've never talked to this individual or the organisation that they say that they are with. Once again, it will be a hello sir, hello madam, good morning, good afternoon situation where they don't use your name. Myself, I get phone calls from people who are asking me to invest into shares for new companies. That's the cold call that I receive, although it hasn't happened for about 6 months, which is great, but it does happen to everybody. Have a look up the reviews of the company that you intend investing money with if you do want to proceed, and have a look at what people are saying there. There's also information that's available on the Financial Markets Authority website. The Internal Affairs website has also got some information, and I think it's scamwatch.co.nz as well. Romance and dating scams. So these are alive and well. Romance and dating websites themselves are actually okay as long as you treat them very carefully. There's a lot of people out there who are lonely, who are looking for friendship or companionship. The golden rule is if you are online, then you divulge as little information about yourself as possible until you can set eyes on the person in real life. That's the biggest thing that I can say around that. And also, as soon as somebody mentions money, you need to go. straight away. There's a lot of fraudsters out there who try and groom people, who will start a conversation, start a relationship online, and then at a later stage they'll introduce the fact that they are after money. Super important that as soon as that happens, you are out of there, irrespective of the relationship that you have started to develop online. It's a very dangerous place to play if you don't follow the golden rules. Some of the other scams, WhatsApp at the moment, there's quite a lot of activity on there where there will be messages sent to you. I'll just go back a step. Your information online is pretty easily accessible. So someone can go into Facebook and can have a look at photos of you. You might have posted something from your birthday. They can then get your birth date from that. It might be a photo of you holding up your dog, Charlie. They can find out that. There's all sorts of information that seems pretty innocuous, but it's actually really valuable for the fraudsters. In WhatsApp, there's messages that have been sent to people from someone pretending to be a parent or a child of the person, saying that they have lost their phone, that they're borrowing someone else's, and they need some money to be able to get home. It might only be $10 or $20 or $50, whatever it is, but that's the latest that's happening, and they're utilising the family's, a person's name from the family that tugs on the heartstrings so that you are less likely to question it. So please be aware of that. With Facebook, you may be in a situation where you have received friend requests from people who are already your friends. If that is the case, give them a call, an email, or go and see them face to face and ask them if this is right, that they are creating a new Facebook account. Don't just click on it because you know the person. In Facebook, there's also Marketplace, which can be a bit of a dangerous place to do buying and selling. You can purchase something and never receive the goods. There's also a lot of instances that happened to my wife where she got offered a courier to come and collect goods that she was selling and give cash. There was a full scam behind that as well, where they will ask you for a little bit more money than what is being required to sell the goods, but you will get the money back. You don't. They do take the money and they will continue to keep coming back to you. You can see New Zealand Post there. There's a message. This tends to come out a lot around Christmas time, which is when people want to believe that there's someone out there who will send them something at Christmas because they're loved. It does happen throughout the year as well, and it's not just New Zealand Post. It could be any courier company, where they're saying you have an item to be picked up. Please click here. Please don't click here. The way that it operates in New Zealand is that you will be sent a text to ask you to go down to your local post shop to pick something up, or you'll get the old-fashioned card in the mail that says that someone has tried to deliver a parcel. Please pop down to your local post shop to pick that up. Those are both legitimate ways of letting you know about parcels. Asking you to click on something is not. On the right-hand side, we've got two text messages that came out previously. The top one came out just before we went into lockdown, and it played on the fact that there were a lot of people, because COVID-19 was brand new, who didn't know what was happening around COVID. And it says here that you can find out where you can get your symptoms tested in your geographical area. Please click on. If this was legitimate, it would actually be moh.govt.nz and nothing else other than that. Despite the fact that the government won't actually send out something that asks you to click on it, if you were to click on it, it would be a lookalike screen that would take you down a very big rabbit hole. Please don't answer any of these. And down the bottom, it says, this is your last call to collect your tax dollars. So in New Zealand, we call it a tax refund. It's very American to call it tax dollars. So the messaging here straight away puts up some red flags. as does the email address, govt-getback.live, blah, blah, blah. It would be ird.govt.nz. And these days, long gone are the days where we had our green IR5s that we filled out every year. It's now logging into My IR, and it is actually an automated process now. So there's no need to fill out any forms if you are a normal salary or wage earner. Right. I guess question to the audience, does anyone know of anyone who's been a victim of a scam or a fraud and would like to share any information?
Look, I've just had a question that says this. If I get scammed, how can I get my money back? I know some people have lost a lot of money through scams, but they're too ashamed to ask for help. Do you have any advice?
Advice is definitely, in the first instance, as soon as you notice that something is up, is that you contact your bank. And they, all of the bank's fraud departments have grown so much over the last couple of years with the amount of work that's coming through from the fraudsters. I would suggest that that would be the best place to start, always with your bank. As a ambulance at the top of the cliff, maybe on a weekly basis, have a look through your accounts, your normal accounts, and also your credit card if you have one, and just keep an eye out for anything that doesn't look right in your transactions. The fraudsters have been known to debit $1, $2, something really small and insignificant, to see if people are actually watching their accounts before they start to go for a higher amount. Yep.
Another one, Fiona says, I had a friend who nearly got caught by the NZTA email car registration, and that one's been going around for a while, and I think lots of people have almost been caught by that. At the bottom of the email, there was a link to the website, supposedly, but she felt something was wrong and rang her bank. NZTA do send emails with links to their website for car registration. Being a government department, this is so wrong, she said.
Okay. I was led to believe that the government departments do not send out any information with links on it that you can click on. So that really surprises me, and I agree. It's really wrong.
Actually, I registered my car on Friday as a result of an NZTA email, and I noticed that it didn't have a link in the email. I had to type in NZTA into the. It told me where to go, but it did not link. But I think what Fiona's experienced, I think they used to have a link in there.
Gotcha.
But the one I did on Friday definitely didn't have a link, because I was a little bit annoyed because I had to go and type it in myself. But NZTA, of course, say that a real email from NZTA will have your car, make, and your license plate in it, and yet the fake ones, of course, don't have that. I guess a lot of people have been scammed or nearly scammed. I guess it's pretty common. You would find that out in the field, a lot of stories.
Yes. Yep. And it doesn't matter where you're from, what demographic you're from, what part of the country you're from. It happens, as I said, when your guard is down, when you believe it will happen to someone else and not to you. Yeah, it's happening more and more, Stephen. Definitely.
Another comment. I've never driven a Corolla, but I have got a message that my Corolla is ready to be collected. Just click the link.
Tempting, but no.
Yes, collect your Corolla. I've got another question here given to me. What are good passwords to use that are strong but secure and changeable? And how can I remember them more easily?
So what I do suggest with passwords is to definitely don't use a birthday, a pet name, or a family name. But if you can utilize something that is personal to you, so it could be your favorite teacher's name, your best friend in primary school, where mum and dad got married, your first address that you remember, So something that's really deeply personal to you that no one would really know is a good way to do it. Numbers, try not to use, as I said, birthdays. It could be the address of an uncle or an aunt or a family member from years gone by that you remember. It could be one of mum or dad's favourite numbers. The longer and stronger the better, and also to have, they do suggest caps and not caps. Personally, for me, I get a little bit confused, so I do everything as lowercase, which isn't ideal, but it does come up as being good enough for password security.
I've heard also 3 random words glued together is quite. Just looking around you, or whatever, chair, whatever, glass. So, but the question also, I think, I find myself having to remember more and more and more passwords as just everything moves online. I personally, I have used a password vault in the past, which is an app on your phone, and can lock them all up in the password vault. So you just need to remember one password, which is the password to the vault. The only drawback is if you forget the password to the vault, you can't get back in.
Yeah, you're a bit stuffed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I totally agree. There's limited amount of people who do use the vaults, but I understand that they are, where they have been used, they're very successful.
Another question: if I've heard of older people responding to messages from strangers, usually younger women, and thinking there's no harm, how can we convince people there are risks, probably scams or money requests, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. It happens a lot. On WhatsApp, there's also job ads that come out that are targeted to no one in particular, but they do get sent out there in the hopes that someone is looking for a job and will go, oh my goodness, that's an amazing amount of money, let's go for it. It's really hard to teach not to respond. If it looks too good to be true, then generally it is. You don't usually get anything for free these days.
Yeah, that's probably the best advice. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. The other one I've heard a lot of is these websites where you sign up for a free trial, or you get a special deal, and in the very tiny little print, it says that they can bill you every month.
Correct.
So that seems to be common. There was one recently where they started to bill after 14 days instead of the 30-day trial. I think that was in the news.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I know from working in the branch, there were situations where people had direct debits for a gym membership or any other direct debit, and they've asked that company to cease taking money out, and they haven't stopped. I know from an ASB point of view, we had the ability to put a stop on the direct debits, but it didn't guarantee that they would not restart. So it's imperative that people get hold of the originator to try and stop those payments.
Can we talk about AI for a bit?
Yeah, sure.
AI is obviously not good in terms of scams, because it's going to become increasingly more difficult to determine what is real and what's not. What can you tell us about AI and how people are using that in scams at the moment?
I'm just thinking back to maybe a month ago where I was watching One News, and there was a general guy over in the States who's a Trump supporter, who wanted to experiment with AI. So he was able to insert Trump into a photo from an African American conference. So plonked Trump right in the middle, and it was to show that he supported the African American community. That if a normal everyday person can do that, that's pretty damn scary. I know that the banks collectively are working towards upgrading security with AI in mind, and I believe that there is something that's just come out in the last couple of days. There's a chat bot, I think it is, that can answer on your behalf. I haven't got any more information about that. I heard about it on the radio, that it's a collective between the banks, that they have the ability to respond to a lot of the text messages that come through automatically on your behalf, so you don't have to keep on answering. And it can apparently keep the fraudsters busy for hours and hours with the responses that come through.
Annie has suggested for password security, if you speak a language that's not English, especially if you know some Te Reo Māori, incorporate that into your password. That's a great suggestion. Excellent. And she's saying it's called me@rescam.org through Netscape.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. Is there anything that we haven't touched on, Matt, that you can want to just mention?
Tips, I suppose. So if anyone's heading off overseas, always have eyes on your card when you are in a shop overseas. Look out for strange devices on ATMs and on car parking machines as well.
What do they look like?
There's a
what do those strange devices look like for on the ATM machine?
So they're usually a tab that hangs out of the ATM machine, for example, which is how they can retrieve their card reading device that's inside. If you go up to an ATM and it has that big green thing on the right-hand side of the ATM, just give that a wiggle. That 99 times out of 100 should be there, but give it a wiggle. If it comes off in your hand, it's not supposed to be there. Don't kick it, whatever you do. But the fraudsters have previously inserted card readers into the ATM slot, so it's very, very thin. And the way that they get it back out is there's a dangle piece that's left out that you can take away. If you see anything like that, contact your bank immediately. My understanding is since COVID, there hasn't been the issues that we had prior to COVID, but that's not to say that it won't ramp up again at any stage. Also, when you're out and about, make sure you use your hand to cover the PIN numbers that you're putting in, just in case you have a shoulder surfer behind you. And utilise the technology. If you have got a Visa debit, check with your bank to see if you have the ability to turn off the pay wave if you don't need it. Or check with your bank. If you don't need PayWave and you don't buy things online, return your Visa debit and just get an EFTPOS card. It is more secure. If you drop it, then someone has to come up with a 4-digit PIN to get into it. If you drop your Visa debit and you haven't locked the PayWave, they can go and spend up to $200 per transaction.
Okay, thanks, Matt. We've come to the end of our time. We've got no more questions in there. Thank you, everyone, for those great questions and comments. I think it's just all, I mean, we're all in the same boat, and it's about being vigilant, questioning everything, asking for help. And, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. That's a great piece of advice. So thanks, Matt. We really appreciate your time. We also really appreciate all you've done for Age Concern. Yeah, Matt has given this and similar presentations at other Age Concern events, and we really appreciate your time, Matt, and your passion for helping our older population be safe and secure online. Everything's moving online fast, really fast. And we've got to do all we can to try and help and prevent those scams. So thanks very much. Appreciate your time this afternoon. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next month at the next Curious Conversations.